See, the 10th offense against the holy name is to maintain mental attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. So, definitely, one should, while living in this world, one should make an effort to strip oneself away from material attachments, which means like a drop of water on a lotus leaf is sitting on the leaf but not attached to the leaf. It is disconnected from the leaf at the same time because there is some wax or something on the top of the leaf. So it doesn't get stuck. In the same manner, one may live in this world as a brahmachari, grihastha, whatever, but one has to keep oneself aloof. So what is the purpose of keeping oneself aloof? The jnanis and yogis want to keep themselves aloof so that they don't get entangled. They don't get entangled in the three gunas of Rajaguna, Tamaguna especially. Because they know very well, if you are attached and entangled, you have to be reborn again. And you will have to again reap your karma bandhana and everything. But a devotee of the Lord is not attached to this type of things of the material world because there is another attachment which uplifts their attention. Krishna says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me and they derive great delight in conversing about me amongst one another. He says, Matchitta, Madgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam. They cannot live one moment without me. And then he's saying, Katayantascha Mam Nityam, Tushyanti Charam. They derive great satisfaction in discussing about me. And Katayantascha Mam Nityam, Tushyanti Cha, Ramanti Cha. Not only they are just satisfied, they relish discussing about me, he says. So, both in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Srimad Bhagavatam even one more step he says, Katam tam tyaktam utsahe. How can I give up my devotees who have given up everything for me? Like that he says in one of the ye dara gara putrapta. He says that one who has given up their wife, their children, their wealth and their property and their name, fame, glory, everything in this world, and they come running to me. Immediately what we picturize in our mind is, if one has given up wife, children, everything in the world, that means he must have taken sannyasa or something, I think. But Ambarish Maharaj was living in the midst of all of that, but he was not attached to any of that. People see that. Because his heart was given away to Krishna, even though he was living in the midst of everything. So, whether you are a brahmachari or whether you are a grihastha living in the midst of all these things, if one gives the heart to the Lord, he is the one who is a devotee, and that is the definition of a devotee. Devotee by definition means one whose heart is in Krishna. How? Like fishes live in water. It's like that. This is the example given by Baladeva Devabhushan for this purport. Matchitta madgata prana. Like a fish, if you take it out of water, it will die. Similarly, if devotees are separated from association and Krishna, they cannot live their life. They have no meaning to life without that. So, the 10th offense is not just stripping away oneself from material attachments like Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim in this world. The second part of that was Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim. What is it? Kavitamba, Jagadisha Kami. And then Mama Janmani Janmani Ishwari Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaitu Kitvahi. He says that on one hand, I want to be detached from all these entangling agents. On the other hand, I want to uplift my consciousness to engage in Krishna's loving service and completely absorb my consciousness and loving attachment to him, he says. So, how does this mamata for Krishna develop? Attachment to Krishna develop? The beginning step is one should not take the teachings of the Lord or instructions of the Lord or speeches of the Lord very casually. Those who take it very casually, they will never become advanced in spiritual life. The na bhajanti avajananti sthanat brashtaha patanti adaha. He says that those who do not celebrate the Lord's teachings by keeping it on the top of their heads, and those who offend the Lord, these are people who are far away from the Lord, isn't it? So, respecting the teachings of the scriptures, which are none other than word of God. That is the first step. Anyone who has reverence and respect for the sacred scriptures, naturally they will develop respect for the Lord as well as his devotees. And secondly, developing connection to the devotees and making sure that one gets engaged in some type of devotional service to the Lord, because one wants to know how to reach this service to him. And the agency is the devotees. Just like you put the water in the root of the tree, you don't pull out a tree and put the water in the root. You put it through the sand. Similarly, the devotees are like the sand which is embracing the root of the tree. Similarly, the devotees are carrying Krishna in their hearts. So through the agency of the devotees, you reach your service to the Lord. So respect the scriptures, respect the devotees, and then the respect for the Lord naturally increases by that. And then the respect gradually makes one strictly adhere to the duties in the path of devotion service. And that adherence to the duty gradually transforms into love and affection for the Lord and sense of belonging to the Lord and one-pointed attention towards the Lord. All these things are concomitant results in the practice of devotional service a devotee can experience. And as this affection, attachment increases, then the detachment from matter is a very concomitant corollary. That's a side thing which automatically will happen. So the chanting of the holy name daily, morning practice, one should remind oneself of this Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, where the first two verses Krishna says who he is. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. If you read the purport, Prabhupada gives many quotes on Krishna's supremacy. How, what is his actual position, what acharyas say, what the shastras say. So the more one understands the Lord's greatness, iti matva bhajante mam, then one engages in bhajan of Krishna wholeheartedly. And what is the second Chatushloki? Matchitta, Madgata Prana, Bodhiyant, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. And their lives are fully devoted to me. Conversing about me amongst one another, they derive great satisfaction and bliss in remembrance of me, he says. Then these two are the verses, it's about Lord Krishna. The next two verses he says, what he does for his devotees. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayantite. Those who are constantly engaged in my devotional service, satata yuktana, and those who call out my names with affection, for them I give them the intelligence by which they can come back to me, he says. Tesham evanukampartham ahamajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. And those devotees who are not learned, who cannot study the sacred scriptures and literatures because of their illiteracy, I, residing in their hearts as indwelling super soul, I drive away the darkness by lighting up the lamp of knowledge in the heart of such a devotee. In this way, even an illiterate devotee becomes enlightened by my mercy, like that he says, due to my anukampa for them. So these kind of verses should be remembered and adored and relished. Then when this climate of heart is created, then the chanting of the holy name is imbued with respect and devotion, duty, affection, attachment, and that spirit is very essential for uplifting our consciousness in the path of chanting. Otherwise, chanting can be a mere joy exercise without much producing any effect in our heart. But if one understands these principles which we discussed today, then we are approaching in the road which is leading us to Krishna's lotus feet and remembrance of Krishna with increased remembrance day after day, month after month. Harinam Prabhu ki